When most people think about ancient history, they think about Egypt, Greece, or Rome. But there is one civilization that was older, larger, and in many ways more impressive than all of them. And most people knows almost nothing about it. That civilization is Persia, the land that is now modern-day Iran. This is the story of how a group of mountain farmers built the most powerful empire the ancient world had ever seen, invented things we still use today, influenced religions that billions of people follow, and survived being conquered, burned, and destroyed, not once, not twice, but many times over thousands of years. The story starts long before there was ever anything called Persia. Around 7,200 BC, that is more than 9,000 years ago, people were already living and farming in the mountains of what is now Iran. These early settlers were growing crops like barley, lentils, and legumes in the Zagros Mountains. To put that in perspective, this was happening before the Egyptian pyramids were built, before Stonehenge existed, and before anyone had even invented writing. These were not primitive people stumbling around in the dark. They were organized, productive communities figuring out how to feed themselves and build a stable life. Archaeologists even found a jar of wine at one of these ancient sites that is 7,000 years old. Someone in ancient Iran was enjoying life thousands of years before most other civilizations even existed. The first major civilization in this part of the world was called Elam. Their capital city, Susa, was established around 4,400 BC and was one of the most important cities in the ancient world for over 5,000 years. Elam was different from its neighbors. While the Sumerians and other Mesopotamian civilizations lived on flat, easy-to-farm plains, the Elamites were mountain people. Their land was tougher, their lifestyle was harder, and they relied heavily on herding animals rather than just farming. This difference between the mountain people and the plains people created a rivalry that would last for thousands of years. It is the same basic tension between what is now Iran and what is now Iraq, a rivalry so deep that when Saddam Hussein invaded Iran in 1980, historians recognized it as simply the latest chapter in a conflict that had been going on for 6 millennia. The Elamites had their own writing system, their own art, and their own religion. Interestingly, we still cannot fully translate their language, which appears to be completely unrelated to any other language from that region. Their culture had some remarkable qualities for the ancient world. Women were treated as equals in Elamite society. Queens were shown standing beside kings as partners, not as lesser figures. This attitude toward women would remain a distinctive feature of Persian culture for thousands of years to come. Elam also had an extensive trading network. Archaeological evidence shows that they were trading with the Indus Valley Civilization in modern-day Pakistan and sourcing materials from as far away as Afghanistan. They were essentially the middlemen of the ancient world, connecting the East and the West long before the famous Silk Road existed. Around 2000 BC, a new group of nomadic people began moving into the region. These were the Iranians, sometimes called Aryans, who came from the vast grasslands of Eurasia. They did not arrive all at once. It was a slow, gradual migration that took over 1,000 years. What is interesting is that as the Iranian people became more dominant, they did not simply erase the Elamite culture. Instead, they absorbed it. The Elamite language was kept for government and administration for a long time. The new rulers brought military power, but the old systems kept running underneath. One of the Iranian groups, called the Medes, eventually pulled the various groups together and formed the first Iranian Empire. They are best remembered for their alliance with the Babylonians, which allowed them to destroy the brutal Assyrian Empire in 612 BC. The Assyrians had been one of the most feared and violent empires of the ancient world, so their defeat was a massive moment in history. But it was not the Medes who would truly change the world. That was left to a Persian lord who started as their subject and ended up building the largest empire that had ever existed. In 553 BC, a Persian nobleman named Cyrus rebelled against the Median Empire. The Median king sent an army to crush him, but the general leading that army, a man named Harpagus, switched sides and joined Cyrus instead. Nobody knows exactly why. The ancient records are too mixed with legend to tell us clearly. But whatever Cyrus offered or promised, it worked. Harpagus became one of his most trusted commanders. From that point, Cyrus went on one of history's most extraordinary campaigns of conquest. Within 20 years, he had conquered Babylon, one of the greatest cities in the world, and pushed the borders of his empire all the way to India in the east. He had built the largest empire the world had ever seen. But what truly set Cyrus apart was not how much he conquered. It was how he ruled what he conquered. Most ancient conquerors were brutal. They enslaved people, destroyed temples, banned local languages, and forced everyone to worship their gods. Cyrus did the opposite. He let conquered people keep their religions, their languages, and their local customs. He appointed local governors to manage different regions and kept them honest by sending royal inspectors to check on them. He built a sophisticated postal system that made communication across his vast empire fast and reliable. This system of government was so well designed that it was still being used essentially unchanged 1500 years later. His most famous act of generosity was freeing the Jewish people who had been enslaved in Babylon and allowing them to return to their homeland. This act was so significant that the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, praises Cyrus as a Messiah. He is the only non-Jewish person in the entire Bible to receive that title. The people he conquered did not hate him. They praised him. In a world where conquerors routinely burned, looted, and enslaved, Cyrus was something completely different. His influence even reached the modern world. Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers, read a biography of Cyrus written by the Greek author Xenophon. That book was one of the inspirations for the United States Declaration of Independence. A Persian king from 2,500 years ago helped shape the founding principles of America. While the Persians were building their empire, they were also innovating in ways that were centuries ahead of their time. Iran receives very little rainfall, only about 5 inches per year on average. This is a serious problem for a civilization that needs water to survive. The Persians solved this problem in 2 brilliant ways. First, the Emperor Darius built an enormous hydraulic system at Shushtar that diverted river water to power mills and irrigate nearly 100,000 acres of farmland. Second, and more impressively, the Persians developed a system of underground water channels called qanats. These tunnels tapped into underground water sources deep beneath the surface and carried water to farms through gently sloping passages. Because the channels were underground, almost no water was lost to evaporation. Because they tapped into underground aquifers rather than depending on rain, they provided water year-round. And because they were buried, they could not be damaged by floods or enemies. Some of these qanats are still working today, thousands of years after they were first built. That is an engineering achievement that is almost unbelievable. The Persians also invented the yakchal, a domed clay structure used to store ice during winter so that food could be kept cold during the hot summer months. Thousands of years before electricity and modern refrigerators, the Persians had figured out how to keep things cool. They are also credited with inventing an early version of the guitar and the board game backgammon, which is still played around the world today. Women in Persian society had freedoms that were extraordinary for the ancient world. They could own property, run businesses, manage their own money, and travel independently. Aristocratic women rode horses and practiced archery, things that would have been considered completely inappropriate for women in Greek society at the same time. Perhaps the most significant Persian contribution to world culture is the religion of Zoroastrianism. Founded by a prophet named Zoroaster, this was one of the world's first truly monotheistic religions, or at least one of the first to frame the universe as a battle between a single supreme force of good and a single supreme force of evil. Zoroastrianism introduced ideas like free will, life after death, heaven and hell, angels and demons. Historians believe these concepts deeply influenced Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and even Greek philosophy. The 3 wise men mentioned in the Christmas story of the Bible. The word used for them, magi, is actually the title for Zoroastrian priests. The Safavid Empire reunified the region in 1501, made Shia Islam the official state religion, and built the city of Isfahan into one of the most beautiful places in the world. Many of the stunning monuments and mosques that tourists visit in Iran today were built during this period. The 18th and 19th centuries brought new challenges in the form of Russian and British imperial interference. The discovery of oil in 1908 made Iran even more of a target for foreign powers. In 1953, the CIA helped overthrow Iran's democratically elected leader after he tried to nationalize the country's oil industry. The deep resentment that this created helped fuel the Islamic Revolution of 1979, which transformed Iran into the Islamic Republic it is today. Today, Iran remains one of the most significant and complex countries in the world. It influences politics across the Middle East, maintains close relationships with China and Russia, and continues to navigate its ancient identity in a modern world shaped by oil, nuclear politics, and regional power struggles. The story of Persia is ultimately a story about resilience. This civilization has been conquered by Greeks, Arabs, Turks, Mongols, and colonial empires. It has been burned, divided, looted, and occupied, and every single time it has come back, not just surviving, but often shaping and transforming the very cultures that tried to destroy it. 6,000 years of history, that is the Persian story, and understanding it changes how you see not just the Middle East, but the entire world.